All right, everyone. Since the last video, you can see that I've done some more work on this composition here. The main thing that I did was I finished up this character here, and also created a disco ball that I had another disco ball that I was kind of working from, but I didn't really like it very much. It was too real looking. So I wound up finding a reference file that I could that was just basically made up of a bunch of squares in different tones. It wasn't taken from a picture, and so I based it on that. Just basically copied the color in each of the squares. And I like that a lot better. I also have taken the time to take this disco ball and set it into the circle that it was pasted into. It was a separate layer, but I decided I didn't want to have it be a separate layer so I could move stuff individually if I wanted to, because I may have to, if I eventually put a title down here, I'll probably wind up moving this whole composition up a little bit more and having the head of the good doctor here go into the logo a little bit. And that's going to require moving some of the layers around a little bit. Now, as far as what I am doing right now, I have started working on this character's face back here. You'll notice that there is more detail on his face, but there is kind of some weird spots here. That's because he's going to be wearing glasses. But the glasses I'm going to do on a separate layer. Okay, that's a good way to make things sort of a different opacity. As a matter of fact, I'm considering doing something similar over here. Let's click on the Diva layer. I just call it Diva. And say like with this character here, if I wanted to add a little dash of color here, what I would do is I would add a layer. There's a layer on top of layer one. And then let's go with a color. Let's go with maybe kind of a purple or something like that, nothing too dark. Okay. And then on this separate layer here, what I would do is I would go in, let's make that a little bit bigger, something like that, and start coloring in. Let's make the color go something like that. You notice I'm still using the brush that is an opacity and pressure brush. So we'll actually make that the shape from the eyebrow to the corner of the eye, and the same back here. Trying to get a smooth color going on there. Now there's a separate layer, so if I get a little bit in the hair or something like that, it's not a big deal. A little bit darker along there. Okay. And then in this case, what I would probably do is I would take the opacity down quite a bit. So you get something along those lines. So it's a little more subtle. You could also play with the, your, excuse me, your blending options here. To try and, figure out what it is you want to do here. Some of these are really, really don't work at all. What I would do with something like this is probably go with multiply or something along those lines. Or just leave it on that and just leave the opacity down a little bit or take it further down still if you want. So it's just a hint of that kind of thing. So about 50%. And then you can also, let's say you decide, oh, not sure if I like that color. You can go ahead and bring up your hue and saturation levels. Maybe a bright green. Make it deeply saturated. And of course you got lighter or darker. In this case, I think the lighter the better and the more saturation. But like I said, you can pretty much do just about anything. Oh, that looks kind of cool. All right. Yeah, kind of like that. And then, once you have that done, you just kind of merge it down so it's part of that same layer. And then you can go in and adjust all you want. In this case, what I think I'm going to do is take a sample of the color that it is now. I'm going to smooth this out a little bit, just using the blending brush. Just a little bit. There we go. Same thing over here a little bit. Something like that. And then you can also, let's take a color sample here. I'm going to go back in with my brush and I'm going to just actually darken in. Let's make that a little darker still. Add a little bit darker detail. A little bit over here as well. Something like that. Okay, yeah, I kind of like that. Okay, now back to this guy. I'm going to click on my assistance layer and go back here. All right, as you can see, I've started to actually blend things, blend things and add detail. I've got the face nearly done. I need to actually go in here and let's grab this tone here, and I think that's the tone I already have going there. Okay, and so I need to start adding a little more in here. Now the nice thing about the opacity and brush is that you can just gently tap stuff in. That's been my main tool um, working on this this project here. It's been my go-to. So I'll kind of dab in little bits of color and then move them around with the mixer brush, and then go over that again with the regular paintbrush. Now the reason that I'm leaving the space here is because I am going to have a pair of glasses on there, and usually there's a little bit of light coming through with glasses, so don't want to have too much going on there. I'm going to put a little bit of a hint right there. Notice that I built up. I've got sort of a deeper color skin tone here, then a lighter on top of that, and lighter on top of that. Just kind of building those up so that it's just like painting traditionally. Now this character is pretty far in the distance, so I don't have to worry too much about too much detail, but you get the idea. Okay, so let's put some glasses on this guy. So what I'm going to do, I got much like what we did with the Diva. I'm going to create a new layer here, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the opacity where it is, but I'm going to make a couple of ellipses. One about like that. Find a placement for it, and then actually that one not so hot. Let's get get it lined up right. Whoops. That looks about right. Okay, so these are going to be the glasses. And I think what I'm going to have to do with this, I don't want to have I could just fill them in, let's go with just like white, something like that. And then, take the opacity down, but that doesn't look right. So I think my best bet, let's take it back here, is probably to grab a paintbrush and let's see, let's take it off we have the opacity and flow brush. Let's just put it on just a soft round, just a general brush. Okay, so I'm gonna make that a little bit bigger. Okay, so that gives it kind of that glassy sort of feel. Now I'm going to take the opacity down a little bit. Okay. See, now that I think works pretty well. Now, here's the other trick with this glasses thing. Before I start just drawing this stuff in, what I want to do is I want to make sure I don't actually mess up what I just have here, these frames. So I've got select. I'm going to inverse my selection. Now everything outside of the glasses is selected. And I can go in and, well, let's go with kind of a tortoisey sort of frame. We'll pick let's pick kind of a dark brown or something. We'll use a little black there too, I think, probably. Let's go with the basic brown here, and then we'll darken it up a little bit, something like that. Of course, I don't want to have it too close to that skin tone back there. And about 10 points. It's still too big. Let's go with about 6. All right, and then let's go ahead and so this having this frame still selected, it keeps this from it keeps my brush from getting too far in and making this into an imperfect oval. Okay, so these are your typical little 60s style, Lenin specs or whatever. Now let's add a little detail here using black. Okay, just bringing out detail. Whoops. Okay. Now let's go in and add a little more detail here. Just a touch. There. Okay. Now let's go back in and let's bring back the black. Okay, now going to deselect. There we go. Then go back in and just add a little bit more detail here. Now let's zoom out a little bit. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we got that done. Whoops, jeez. Super sensitive thing. Now that that's done, I actually take this layer and drop that down into its main layer. Okay, you notice I didn't rename that one. That was because I planned on doing that all along. All right, so there we've got some unique stuff going on with the layers here. Now what I need to do next is probably go back in here and I think I probably need to work on those ears. Yeah. So let's grab a slightly darker tone here and that initial tone there, and get my regular paintbrush here. Let's correct the shape a little bit. We might have to have the hair kind of come down a little bit on top of that. This is the 70s after all. At least that's the idea. All right, let's grab this color here. All right, now got that set. Let's go in and start moving this stuff around a little bit. So it's just a little bit smoother. I kind of lost that little detail there, and that's okay. Let's grab this color here. All right, that's probably pretty good. Now let's grab a little white, a little off-white, and put in a little detail there. Those are kind of shiny sometimes. And then we'll just kind of blend that just a little bit, just so it's not quite as harsh. Okay. Just gotta fix that too. Makes him look like he's got a goiter or something. We don't want that. Let's grab this. Something like that. There we go. Okay, so that ear is probably good enough. Like I said, this this figure is a little ways away from the he's way back there actually. So you don't have to get too crazy with the detail. You don't want to slough off on this stuff, but you don't want to go crazy. You don't have to go crazy with it. But you want to have it, finished enough that it's done. All right, now let's tackle some of this hair. Okay, so we got our basic tones set in here. So let's grab those. Let's grab our mixer brush and let's just start doing the same thing that we did with the diva character. Start moving this stuff around. There we go. He's got the old, oh boy, the big side part that was popular in the 60s and the 70s. I gotta admit, that's what, when I was a little kid, that's what my hair was like. That's what everybody's hair was like, unless it was really long. When I was a kid, that was a lot of boys had the page boy haircut. So you look like a little Dutch boy, off of a paint can or something. Boy, those were the days, man. So I'm always very aware of which color I have, in the foreground here of my of my mixer brush, because it can affect the tone of things. Okay, so like right through here, I want to have a little bit more of a lighter tone. So I'll start, so I have the gold more popped in there, and I'll start moving this stuff around a little bit. So I get a little bit of light coming through there. I'm actually probably going to put a little bit of a highlight on the this edge of his hair as well. Um, you know, a little rim lighting kind of thing. Need to figure out the shape of this guy's hair too, because you know you want to have it. And for this character, you know, he's not quite the hippie dude that this guy's going to be, but he's still, longer hair than someone would have nowadays. So he's got his little beard and stuff. So I may actually wind up taking that hair and putting it over top of the ears and bringing some back out here. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So let's kind of add a little extra here. We'll move that dark so there's a little bit of body to it. It actually looks like there's, see that dark edge on the bottom of that hair? Yeah, that's what we want. Move that down a little further. Actually, let's go ahead and just sketch some in a little bit. And you know what, while we're at it, let's put some behind his neck too. So it's just a little more shaggy looking. More like that. Let's remember, just like I told you guys if you took my Drawing 1 class, the closer the hair is to the flesh, the darker it's gonna be. So something like that. That's working pretty well. Okay, I like that. Let's move some of these hairs around a little bit. Refine those a little bit so they're not quite as heavy-handed. Move that into the part a little bit. There. All right. I think that's working pretty well. Now let's take care of some more of this up here. I used to also call this helmet hair back when I was a kid, which let's go ahead and pop in a little bit of an edge there. And whoops, that was a big brush. Okay. Now let's go ahead and we don't want white actually, but let's go with something like that. And let's put in a little bit of rim lighting along here. And a little bit in here. And something along those lines. And I'm going to put a little bit along in here too. Now let's go in with our mixer brush and just kind of smooth out some of these things here. A little more natural. There. Now we'll take the white. Notice I'm still using the mixer brush through here because I don't really want to add strokes. I just want to add areas that are a little bit lighter in that. Kind of lighten up the general area a little bit and then go in and add maybe a little bit. I'm just kind of blending that into the lighter tones. There we go. There is old Mr. Helmet Hair. All right, so now I need to just finish up that ear, then work some more on this beard. And then, as you can see, I've got to do the rest of his body. Now, that really, that's pretty quick work. You can see here, I didn't even record my working on Dr. Nocturnal's body because it was such a quick and easy thing. The color's already there. All you got to do is just take the mixer brush and go in and just move stuff around till it looks right. Yeah, doing his coat and the buttons and all that took me maybe 15 minutes, and that's it. So that's pretty quick work. So that's what I'll be doing next with this guy. And then I'll move on to this guy here. But all in all, I'm kind of enjoying this little process. I think it's coming along, pretty okay. Like I said, decided to challenge myself and do something completely different than what I normally do. And, digging it. All right. So I'll keep you guys posted. And you keep me posted on what you're working on. All right. Talk to you later.